There is a plant that doubles its biomass every 48 hours without needing a single inch of soil. Start with a handful. 2 days later, you have 2 handfuls. 4 days, 4 handfuls. 1 week, enough to fill a bathtub. 1 month, an entire ton of food. And that is not even the most remarkable part. This plant contains 45% protein by dry wheat, more than eggs, more than beef, more than chicken. It contains all 9 essential amino acids. It contains vitamin B12, which science once told us could only come from animals. NASA chose it as an optimal food source for Mars missions. In 37 American states, it is classified as a nuisance weed. Transporting it across state lines is a federal violation. The question is not whether this plant is extraordinary. The science settled that. The question is, why does the most efficient protein source on Earth have a legal target on its back? The American food system runs on 2 pillars, corn and soybeans. Behind those 2 crops stands an empire worth hundreds of billions of dollars annually, patented seeds that farmers cannot save or replant, fertilizers purchased every season, pesticides applied every cycle, a system engineered from the ground up to create dependency. You cannot farm without buying from them. You cannot buy seeds without returning every year. The model only works if you need them. Then Wolffia globosa enters the picture. No soil, no seeds to purchase, no fertilizers, no pesticides, no tractors, no irrigation, no labor beyond scooping out what grew on its own. It doubles itself every 48 hours using nothing but water and sunlight. It produces complete protein 140 times more efficient per acre than soybeans. It cannot be patented. Its supply cannot be controlled. And once you have it, you never need to buy it again. A system that profits from your dependence has one logical response to a plant like this. Eliminate it. Label it dangerous. Make it illegal to transport. Call it pond scum. That is exactly what happened. Here is the truth that the biology makes undeniable. Wolffia globosa, commonly known as duckweed, is not a new discovery. It is not a fringe supplement or an untested theory. It is a 2,000-year-old food system that sustained entire Asian civilizations before industrial agriculture arrived and dismantled it. Asian farmers had no concept of protein synthesis, but they knew what worked. Duckweed covering rice paddies reduced their fertilizer requirements. Fish growing beneath the water fed on it and grew faster. Pigs and chickens fed fresh duckweed daily thrived. Animal waste then fed the duckweed, which purified the water again. A perfect closed-loop, self-sustaining food production system that required 0 industrial inputs. In 1590, a Western explorer arriving in Southeast Asia expressed amazement at villages that raised abundant protein without pastures. He could not understand how food production worked without the systems he knew. What he was witnessing was a food technology 2,000 years in development that has since been deliberately buried. In Thailand, they still call it kai nam, eggs of the water. They make soups from it and fold it into omelets for nutritional density, a symbol of food freedom that no corporation can control. The knowledge was never lost, it was suppressed, and it is available to you right now. Let us go through what the research actually shows, because the science here is not French. It is peer-reviewed, multi-institutional, and consistent. Scientists at the University of Ghent confirmed that Wolffia has an amino acid profile in the golden ratio, perfectly matching the FAO's strict standards for complete human nutrition. Unlike ordinary duckweed species that contain oxalic acid linked to kidney stones, Wolffia globosa is clean enough to eat raw. Clinical trials show that protein from Wolffia is absorbed by the human body at a rate of up to 93%. That's equivalent to premium beef, in plant form, from a plant that doubles every 48 hours in a bucket of water. The journal Diabetes Care published a finding that consuming Wolffia can reduce post-meal blood sugar levels in diabetic patients by up to 20%. It maintains iron levels comparable to red meat, while triggering satiety hormones faster than any other green vegetable studied. NASA's research found it produces 140 times more protein per acre than soybeans. The European Space Agency subjected Wolffia to centrifuge conditions at 20 times Earth's gravity to test its resilience. It survived and continued growing. The Salk Institute identified why. Wolffia has deleted the genes that control sleep cycles. It has eliminated its root system entirely. It does not rest. It photosynthesizes continuously, around the clock, converting water nutrients into pure protein at a rate no other plant organism approaches. On December 8, 2021, the European Food Safety Authority, one of the strictest regulatory bodies in the world, officially approved Wolffia as a novel food safe for human consumption. It passed their most rigorous testing for toxicity, heavy metals, and digestibility. What was called pond scum is now certified food by the European Union. So why is it illegal to transport across 37 state borders in the United States? The answer is not biological, it is economic. Every dollar of corporate agricultural revenue depends on annual transactions. Seeds purchased every year, fertilizer applied every cycle, chemicals sprayed every season. The model requires you to return. A food you can grow indefinitely from an initial culture using nothing but water and sunlight is the structural enemy of that model.
Wolfia cannot be patented. Its supply cannot be controlled. Once you have it, you never need to buy it again. It grows faster than pests can reproduce, eliminating any pesticide market. It purifies its own water, eliminating fertilizer requirements. It produces complete protein, potentially reducing supplement dependency for millions of people. Corporations whose revenues depend on your nutritional dependency have every financial incentive to ensure you never discover this plant works. Labeling it toxic is far more profitable than acknowledging it is the most efficient protein source ever studied. This is not speculation. This is the documented history of industrial agriculture systematically dismantling self-sustaining food systems across the developing world in the 20th century, replacing closed-loop village food production with export commodity monoculture that required purchasing inputs from corporations every season. The ponds were filled in, the knowledge was buried, the plant was classified as a weed. Here's what you can do right now, legally, safely, and effectively. The critical legal point first. Do not release Wolfia into natural waterways, ponds, or outdoor water bodies in regulated states. The invasive risk to natural ecosystems is real, and the legal penalties are significant. Every cultivation step I am about to describe takes place in a contained container, indoors or on a contained balcony or patio. With that understood, the setup is simpler than anything else in food production. You need a clean plastic container, any size from a small storage bin to a larger trough depending on your target output. Fill it with clean water, tap water dechlorinated by sitting overnight, or filtered water. Position it where it receives sunlight for at least 6 hours daily. A south-facing window or a covered balcony works perfectly. Source the Wolfia globosa strain specifically, not generic duckweed, not Lemna minor, not other aquatic plants labeled duckweed. Wolfia globosa is the strain with 45% protein content, natural B12, and minimal oxalate levels. Specialty aquatic plant supplies carry it. It is legal to purchase and cultivate in contained systems in most states. Verify your specific state regulations before ordering. Add your starting culture to the clean water. Within 48 hours, the surface will noticeably thicken. Within 1 week, you will have full coverage of your container surface. The harvest cycle is simple. Every 2 days, skim half the surface growth using a fine mesh strainer or colander. What remains continues doubling. Rinse your harvest with clean water. That's your protein. The doubling math over 30 days from a small starting culture produces approximately 1 kilogram of protein-dense food from a container that fits on a kitchen counter. Wolfia globosa has a mild, slightly grassy flavor, similar to spinach or watercress. It's subtle enough to blend into almost anything without significantly changing the taste profile. Eat it raw in salads to preserve B12 content at maximum potency. Blend it into smoothies. A tablespoon adds complete protein without changing the flavor of the smoothie. Mix it into scrambled eggs or omelets. Fold it into soups and stews during the last few minutes of cooking. Dry it in a dehydrator at low temperature and grind it into protein powder that stores for months. If you produce more than you can consume, and at 48-hour doubling rates you likely will, fresh Wolfia is among the highest quality protein supplements available for poultry and fish. Chickens and fish treated as a premium feed. Your backyard chickens convert Wolfia protein into eggs more efficiently than any commercial feed. Your aquaponic fish grow faster on fresh Wolfia than on pellets. No waste, no excess. A genuinely closed-loop food production system operating from your kitchen counter.
For the farmers and homesteaders paying close attention, this is where the income conversation starts. Wolfia globosa is approved as a novel food by the European Food Safety Authority. The commercial aquatic protein market is early stage and developing rapidly. Specialty health food companies, aquaponic operations, high-end restaurants experimenting with novel protein sources, and premium animal feed producers are all actively seeking reliable domestic Wolfia supply. The economics are extraordinary. Zero input cost beyond water and sunlight, zero land cost, zero seed repurchase, production that compounds exponentially rather than growing linearly, and a buyer market that is just beginning to form around a product with documented nutritional credentials that no existing commercial protein source can match on a per-acre basis. The farmers who establish reliable, clean, documented Wolfia production before this market matures are positioning themselves in a category with virtually no domestic competition and a growing buyer demand curve. This is the definition of a ground floor specialty crop opportunity. 2,000 years ago, Asian farmers understood something that modern industrial agriculture spent a century dismantling. Food production does not need to be complicated. It does not need to be expensive. It does not require dependency on corporations that sell you the same inputs every year. A bucket of water, some sunlight, and a culture of Wolfia produces more complete protein per square foot per day than any other food source ever documented, including every crop NASA evaluated for deep space missions. The old system wants you to believe that food production requires them, that scarcity is inevitable without industrial inputs, that the plants capable of feeding you independently are dangerous and must be controlled. Wolfia globosa says something different. Abundance has always existed just beneath the water surface. The knowledge was never gone, it was buried, and you can bring it back starting today with a plastic container and a handful of water plants. Link in the description for everything you need: Wolfia globosa starter cultures, growing containers, the complete millionaire farmer guide with the full aquatic protein income model. Drop a comment. Did you know this plant existed before this video? And are you going to grow it? I read everyone. Now you know what they bear.